Yo, welcome to Hot Takes with Chedda Chaz. There's no hand holding. We do with facts, not emotion. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification if you haven't already. Shout out to Miller Lite, DraftKings, Topo Chico. You guys should support them because they support us. I apologize. I've been on a bit of a hiatus. Top of the year, I got buku properties. I got mad stuff to do. It's always hectic this time of the year when you're doing all type of financials and all kind of other crazy shit. But I'm here today because I want to talk about the Pelicans' missing piece, the final piece. While this roster is currently constructed, this would be the final piece to push the Pelicans over the edge into real championship contention. As I've noted before, the Pelicans getting out to a quick start was incredibly important for this year because of the Phoenix Suns. You know, they have that injury history and they have some chemistry issues. It would have been taking them a while to really figure things out. And you had the Clippers who they hit a rut, but they've totally figured it out at this point a lot more quickly than some of us would have liked, right? But I think the Pelicans should go all in for Lauri Markkanen. And in an ideal world, Lauri Markkanen and Collin Sexton. And here's why. Nothing has fundamentally changed about the Pelicans roster from this offseason to now, right? The Pelicans are still in a position where they have to move off of one of CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, or worst case scenario, Trey Murphy, right? Still has to happen. Nothing has changed. The reason I say you cashing those chips for Lauri Markkanen right now is because the Lakers seem to be sputtering a little bit. The Suns have had all types of injury issues and chemistry issues, and I don't think they'll be able to recover. Truthfully, I don't think they have the depth to recover at this point, right? Clippers, they're still looking good, but OKC is looking incredible. So you don't want a team like OKC who has a cachet of assets, cachet of young talent to go out there and get a guy like Lauri Markkanen and that be their final piece or one of their final pieces to push them over the edge into serious title contention, right? If you're the Pelicans, you want to take advantage of having young, fresh legs. You got wing depth. You got it's a real top-heavy team, but you do got some pretty solid wing depth. You don't really have guard depth, and you don't really have depth at the 5 or the 4. So if I'm the Pelicans, I go out, get probably one of the best shooting bigs in the game right now in Lauri Markkanen, all-star. May not be an all-star this year, but that's because, he hasn't been playing due to injury, right? And the Jazz, stout tanking or what have you. You look at the Pelicans' assets, that Lakers pick is looking more and more attractive. LeBron's not getting any young. He's playing incredible, but they got some coaching issues going on. They got some injuries they're dealing with. They still need depth at the point guard. There's a lot of things going on with the Lakers that teams are probably looking at them like, okay, LeBron can't have much more left in the tank. You know what I'm saying? Their demise seems inevitable. So you have that Lakers pick 24 with the right to defer to 25. I think that's going to be incredibly attractive. Pelicans pick is always, kind of attractive because you never know what's going to happen with the Pelicans. You got buck swaps. You got a couple of things, right? The Utah Jazz has been putting out that they want 4 picks for Lauri Markkanen. Lauri Markkanen has one of the most attractive contracts in the NBA at $17 million, an all-star on a $17 million contract. His production has not fallen off a cliff by far. You know what I'm saying? They just sitting them. I think it would be an incredible get for the Pelicans because if you're the Pelicans, you cash in all your chips for right now. You cash in all your chips for this year and possibly next year, right? This is before you ultimately have to make a decision on Brandon Ingram or CJ or Trey or whatever. This is before that, right? If you go all in right now, you betting on this year. Then next year, Lauri Markkanen, he's at 17.3 million again. I think he's an expiring contract. You can re-sign him. You can re-sign Trey. You can trade him. You can trade Trey, re-sign Brandon. There's a number of things you could do. But for this year, I think that puts the Pelicans into real championship contention. I still think Willie Green is a bad coach, but I think you at least have a puncher's chance because you're so talent heavy on this roster. And there's a couple of ways you could do it. For me, an ideal trade would be Collin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen. And in that trade, you'd be sending out Jonas Valanciunas, Dyson Daniels, Kyra Lewis, Najee Marshall, EJ Liddell, and 4 first-round picks for both of those guys. Now, here's why the Jazz probably wouldn't do that. Because I'm unsure if the Jazz have the roster space to take on 3 additional players. So that's probably why they don't do it. Why they would do it is you're getting 4 first for Lauri Markkanen and Collin Sexton. So that's a pretty attractive trade package, especially considering that Lakers first looks like it's going to be a lottery pick. Again, I don't know if the Jazz are open to that, just because you're not really getting an attractive player back in that trade. Probably the most attractive player, Paul, you're getting back in that trade is You get Jonas Valanciunas expired salary. You get a look at Dyson Daniels. You get a look at Kyrie Lewis before you have to ultimately make a decision on him. Najee Marshall is totally outplaying his contract, so that's a pretty good deal for them. And you get 4 picks, 2 of which are potentially lottery picks, right? The most simple, cleanest way to do this trade would be Jonas Valanciunas and Dyson Daniels with maybe 4 picks for Lauri Markkanen. The only issue with that is I still think the Pelicans need a backup point guard, especially a person who's playoff tested and a player off the bench who could get hot, give you those microwave points, 15, 20 points here and there. Trey Murphy could potentially do that off the bench. Or maybe you start him and you stagger the lineup and you let Herb run the backup point guard for that second unit, because Herb does have point guard experience coming out of Alabama. Really solid player initiated, can bring the ball up the court, decent enough handle, smart basketball player. I think Herb is capable of doing that. So that would be the deal. If you're the Jazz, I don't really know a reason why you wouldn't do this unless you think you can get better young talent back. Because I really don't know what the Jazz's goals are for the next couple of years, and I don't know what their timeline is. The Jazz are a pretty solid team as it currently stands, and that's a testament to their coaching. So maybe they think, hey, if we just get a solid young player back and assets will be fine. Maybe they don't want Jonas Valanciunas. Maybe they don't want Dyson Daniels. Maybe they feel like they can do better than those 2 guys. But that's my opinion. I think the Pelicans are well in position to just go for it all this year and possibly next year before you ultimately have to make that decision. By next year's trade deadline, you'll know if you have to move off of Brandon or move off of Zion or move off of whoever. It doesn't appear that Brandon's going to make all NBA this season. Maybe he makes All-Star reserve, but it doesn't appear that he's going to make all NBA this season. There's so much talent in the NBA right now that if you're the Pelicans, you need to acquire as much talent as possible and worry about, fit and figuring it out later. You just need to go out there with intentions on outscoring everyone and running guys out of the gym. That way you have a puncher's chance in any playoff series you find yourself in. But that's been today's show. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Let me know what you think. Do you guys feel good about Lauri Markkanen, or would you feel better about Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton? Or do you say, hey, we don't need a backup point guard? Or do you say, hey, let's stand pat with this roster, let them figure it out, and when we get to the playoffs, then we'll know exactly what we need for the following year? But I'm out. Peace.
In the NBA, the game can change in an instant, but no matter how the action unfolds, DraftKings Sportsbook has your back. This week, new customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets just for betting $5 on basketball. Win or lose, you get an instant dub. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BOOT. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code BOOT. The crown is yours.